recording now. The purpose, so please, everyone, good morning, and thank you once again for joining this workshop. We are expecting um, about 46 of you to join this workshop, so we're just waiting about 1 or 2 minutes more for others to join. Hopefully, if the load shedding did not affect them. But beside that, please just drop your name, your full name, and your student number in the chat box. Also, Sibindi, please, can you mute your mic?
Hello?
Please, can you mute your mic, please?
Okay, thank you.
Can you just remember to complete the evaluation form? It's very important. It gives us a clear understanding and idea of what we are doing right and what we need to do right. So I wouldn't say what we are doing wrong, what we are doing right and what we need to improve upon. Um, I think that will be really, really important for us to come up with the best uh, services possible to help you, guide you, and to encourage you with respect to your studies. Okay, so good morning, everyone. It's exactly 10 minutes past 5. Sorry, 5 minutes past 10. I have not had my coffee this morning, but we are going to start off immediately. We'll just wait for others to join us, and we hope that they join us as soon as possible. So a quick introduction of myself. I think just for us to conserve time, I wouldn't want you to, start introducing yourself, but just a quick introduction of myself. My name is Olushola, and I'm with the Division for Postgraduate Studies. I'm one of the academic coordinators there. Um, yes, and I'll be the one facilitating this workshop today, just explaining some tips here and there to you. And I look forward to, having this um, educative conversation in the next 2 hours or thereabouts. For those of you that are just joining, please, you are reminded to drop your name, your full name, and your and your student number, sorry, in the chat box, please. Your full name and your student number in the chat box. Please remember to do that because we want to know those who have attended and those who did not attend. It's for record purposes. And please let me remind you again to just please mute your mic. Very important. Please and please mute your mic. Okay. Let's have a minimal disruption to the class today. But thank you so very much, everyone, for joining us. Okay, so today we are looking at something very interesting. We are looking at developing a research proposal. Developing a research proposal. Okay, so let's start off somewhere, and let me just share my slide with you, so that we'll see what the story is this morning. Just a minute, just sharing the slide. All right. Okay, so this is my slide I'm going to be sharing with you. Please, you are more than welcome to send in your question in the chat box. Again, for as many of you that are just joining us now, please drop your name, the full name, and your email address in the chat box. Okay. All right. So today we are looking at developing a research proposal. Okay. And okay, so there was. All right. So with respect to this workshop, I will be looking at it through this outline in terms of the research proposal. We'll look at the definitions, the construct of a research proposal. We'll look at the preamble. I will give you some very relatable and insightful tips on some of the components, or if not almost all of the components of a research proposal. And we will discuss some of these things in details. I will explain to you the purpose of a research proposal, the importance of a research proposal. All of that we will look at today. Okay, and so let's start off in terms of definition of a research proposal, and I will be picking out a few things here just for you to understand and appreciate the fact that a research proposal is something you invest your time and effort in. So let's look at this definition. The meaning of a research proposal suggests looking forward to what the researcher plans to do in the future. The proposal lays out the problem for the research, describes exactly how the research will be conducted, and outline in precise detail the resources, both factual and instrumental, the researcher will use to achieve the desired result. Very interesting definition there. A research proposal is a document that describes the essential future of a study to be conducted in the future, as well as the strategy whereby the inquiry may be logically and successfully accomplished. So let's take a moment on these definitions so that I explain some things to you. We can see from these two definitions that essentially a research proposal is a study for the future. It's something you anticipate doing. It's something you plan doing. So what does that mean? If you are planning to attend this workshop, you would have blocked it in your schedule for the day to say between 10 and 12, I will be in the research proposal development workshop. So it clearly shows that you have outlined the plan of what you want to do. Now, the question now is, what have you put in place to make sure that the plans do not fall apart? So the research proposal is an opportunity for you to come up with an academic plan of action. It is an opportunity for you to narrate a story through the lens of a problem that you have managed or successfully identified. So you are laying out the problem of what you want to do. You are giving us context of what you want to do. And you are providing detailed description in the form of preciseness of how you will execute the plan. So a research proposal is not just you telling us about the problem. We know that the problem exists. The question is, how do you want to tackle the problem that is different from what other people have done? So think carefully around your research proposal to say, what exactly is the problem that I'm coming up with? What exactly is the issue? What research area am I interested in? What are the problems that exist in this research area? What have people done in this research area? To what extent did they do it? What are still the existing limitations in this research area? Which of these limitations am I interested in picking and addressing adequately? So I have managed to identify the problem. Now I am giving you a detailed description of how the problem will be solved. And I'm giving you an idea in terms of the various resources that I will need to solve the problem. So you are writing a document that contains action plan, academic action plan. And this action plan must be all encompassing. It must not leave any room for doubt to say, we don't know what you are talking about, or we don't understand the story you're trying to come up with. So the way you outline the approach, the way this document is being prepared, will give any reader the insight as to, does Olu knows exactly what he is doing. So I'm giving you this background in terms of definition of a research proposal so that you know what you are getting yourself into. It is not just something you write or you couple together haphazardly. No, you pay attention to the different sections. And I'll be talking about the different components of a research proposal. But I just want you to understand what this means. All right. So, what is the purpose of a research proposal? The purpose is simple. Number one, the purpose is that you have successfully identified a problem that you want to tackle. The purpose is that you have managed to comb through literature and see that there are still problems out there, and these are the things that other studies have managed to accomplish. So, the purpose of a research proposal starts from the topic because the topic will give you, as well as the reader, a sense of direction of what you want to do or the path that you want to take as far as the study is concerned. So, I've listed these 3 points and I've decided to make the topic, in red because that's the danger man. If your topic is quote and unquote right, but the narrative behind the topic is not coming together, it shows that even though you understand your topic, you have not been able to articulate the topic in the form of an acceptable document, like a research proposal, of how you give us the step-by-step procedure of how this thing will be executed. So, number one, to present a research question to be researched on and its related importance, to discuss the research effort of others who have worked on related research question, to suggest the data necessary for solving the research question and how the data will be gathered, treated, and interpreted. Can you see what is happening here now? So the purpose is simple. The purpose starts from the topic. Then it filters down to what exactly about this topic are you interested in? About 15 of us, 17 thereabout, okay, are in this workshop right now. If we all pick the topic Cape Town, if we say, okay, our topic for research, all of us together, we pick Cape Town as our topic. The difference with each and every one of us will be what exactly about Cape Town are you interested in? So you picking a topic simply means that there's something very specific that you are interested in. So we can all pick Cape Town, but the modification to the topic by individuals will now show clearly the path, the direction, the trajectory we want to take as per our topic. Some of you might decide to say, okay, Cape Town and its agricultural endowment, Cape Town and its economic value, Cape Town and its tourism potential, Cape Town as a cosmopolitan city, Cape Town and its population demography. Can you see the difference now? We are all picking Cape Town, but we are choosing different pathways. And that's the beauty of research proposal. You will clearly show the path that you want to take, and it starts from the topic. The topic will give us an idea of the problem that you want to solve. Because with the topic, every other component of a research proposal, they must align. You can't pick Cape Town and its agricultural values. Then you start talking about Lagos or Abuja or Kampala or Cairo. No. You are expected to say everything around Cape Town. And this is where I want to bring something very important to your attention. Whatever topic you have chosen, whatever idea you are toying with right now, I can 100% assure you that there are more than enough resources to help you write a decent research proposal. And it starts from review articles. Look at review articles. What are those review articles saying? That's your starting point. Because those review articles will clearly show you someone somewhere who has consolidated 5 or 6 or 7 research articles into one document. The beauty of that is that it will give you a sense of direction with respect to your chosen research area or your topic and what people have managed to accomplish up until date. So the purpose of a research proposal is for you to have a clear-cut understanding of what you want to do and be able to write it in a document format for it to be what? To be assessed, to be reviewed, to be examined, to be vetted. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on. Please feel free to ask questions. If you have any questions, if you have any section that you need clarity on, please, you're more than welcome to ask me questions. So look at this slide. Okay, this slide says the template, the component, or the layout of what? Of a research proposal. And I've done something here just to let you know the weight of a research proposal. And what I've done is, if you look at this column, no, I'm not asking you to move. If you look at this column on your left, it says chapters. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, as the case may be. Okay? Now, what does this mean? It means that by default, your research proposal is your chapter 1 to 3 of your thesis in a what? In a consolidated manner. What do I mean by that? If you look at what you have in your research proposal, you have your chapter 1, which is essentially the introduction to your research. We will deal with that shortly. You have a section in your research proposal that talks about reviewing articles, literature review, right? You have a section in your research proposal that shows the step-by-step procedure in form of your materials and method or your research methodology of how this academic action plan will be executed. And ladies and gentlemen, this is your thesis chapter 1 to 3. The only thing you now have to do in other subsequent chapters is what? You take out, for instance, literature review, which is your chapter 2, and you blow it up into a considerable number of pages. Your chapter 3, which is your materials and method or your research methodology, you take that one too, you do what? You blow it up, where you provide further details. So when you're thinking about your research proposal, you are already thinking about your thesis chapter 1 to 3. The only thing that is missing right now, as far as your research proposal is concerned, are your results. You don't have a result and you cannot discuss or present the result. That's the only thing missing. And that's why you find some supervisors will tell you, I want you to write chapter 1 to 3 of your thesis. From there, we will do what? We will extrapolate the relevant section and we'll make it into your research proposal. So I'm not sure how you already see your research proposal. But ladies and gentlemen, let me reveal to you that whatever way you are seeing your research proposal, it is your thesis chapter 1 to 3 that you are working on. So let's look at, for instance, chapter 1, introduction. It has the background information, it has the problem statement, hypothesis, research questions, research objective, significance of study, limitations of study, and all of that. In your literature review section, it has literature review, and I will explain all of this to you in the simplest way possible. Just come along with me. Your methodology, it has your research methodology section or materials and method. If it is materials and method, well now, what instrument do you want to use? Why are you using the instrument? If you are using scanning electron microscopy, if you are using UVVs, if you are using FTIR, if you are using TGA, maybe spectroscopy, maybe thermal analysis, maybe microscopy and analysis. Why are you using those instruments? Of what importance are those instruments? If it's for those of you in CHS and other faculty, it's your research methodology section. Your research method. What research method are you choosing? You are not choosing qualitative or quantitative because your friend is also doing qualitative. You are not choosing mixed method because your friend is also doing mixed method. I will explain all of that to you when we get to that section. Okay, so let's start. Let's start. I hope everybody is still here with me. And for as many of you that are just joining, please make sure you put your name and your student number, your full name and your student number in the chat box. Okay, so this is the starting point of any research proposal. It's your research topic or your title. So let me tell you the secret behind a research topic. Your research topic is a problem. Your research topic is a problem. But the good news is that this is not a problem in isolation. It is a problem that is a function of what? Of a bigger problem. It is just a fraction of what? Of a bigger problem. So that means that big problem has always been in existence. You are only taking a smaller chunk, something you can bite and swallow out of what? The big problem, and you want to run with it. So think of your topic as a problem and think of it as a problem that needs a solution. The question is, what solution do you have for the problem? So you need to understand the characteristics of a research topic. I've put two here. It must be self-descriptive or self-explanatory. Your topic cannot be ambiguous. From your topic, anyone reading, the moment they see your topic, they should have a clear idea of what your interest is as far as the study is concerned. So it must be self-descriptive. It must be self-explanatory. Hello, your topic cannot have a question mark at the end of it. Your topic cannot be half a paragraph. It must be succinct, straight to the point, self-explanatory, accurate. Because that is the entry point for any reader. Nobody will read your research proposal without first and foremost looking at your topic. Your topic is like the compass, it's like the light that guides the reader. So, okay, I have seen this topic now. These are what I expect the student to write in all the other components of the research proposal. Because your topic will dictate what you are going to write. It will dictate the pattern, the direction, the routes you are going to take. So your topic must be accurate. Your topic must not be vague. It must not be ambiguous. It must not be confusing. It must not be all over the place. So you think carefully in coming up with your topic. And may I tell you another secret? Your topic is a research gap that you have managed to identify from literature. In other words, this is not something you bring out from your head and say, oh, because I've been living in Cape Town for the past 15 years, I think it's good for me now to write about Cape Town as a cosmopolitan city. No, it doesn't work like that. The root of your topic must be from literature, the gaps you have managed to identify in literature. That should form the root of your topic. I am not disputing that you won't have the idea of what you want to do. As soon as you have the idea, your next point of call is to run to literature and find out what is literature saying about this idea of mine. Because I need to identify the gap. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. It starts from your topic. So the effort you put into your topic is very crucial. The resources you're consulting for you to come up with the appropriate topic and not come up with a topic that has been similarly attempted or addressed before is very important. And the beauty of research is that research is not jack of all trades, master of none. No, everybody has their own lane. Everyone has their own lane. This is something you must always, always remember that yes, research is not an exercise that you conduct ambiguously. No, it is focused, it is specific, it is targeted. Why? Because you are not solving the world's problem. Your topic must be something you can solve, achieve within the specific time frame for your PhD studies. So you cannot afford to pick your topic and 4 or 5 years down the line, you are still grappling with it. And still on your research topic, please and please discuss extensively with your supervisor on the way forward. Some of you might be fortunate that the topic is given to you by your supervisor. What do you do again? You have to run to literature to find out what is the story behind this topic. And what are the stories you want to know? You want to know people that have attempted the topic before. You want to know what they have managed to accomplish. You want to know what is still left undone because you have to write a story about the topic. For some of you, you have to conceptualize the topic by yourself and soundboard it with your supervisor. Again, literature is your default place to go to. Before I proceed, any question? Okay, while you are thinking about the question, so look at the research proposal construct. What is the construct? Two things. It helps you to demonstrate an understanding of the research in question. What exactly is it about? It further illuminates the purpose of literature, its main consideration, the probable drawbacks, and the viewpoint from which to do the inquiry, and the procedure for gathering information from all possible sources. Those two constructs are self-explanatory. You being able to demonstrate an understanding of what you want to do. You being able to know the right resources, the appropriate resources that will help you do what you want to do. What's your question? It starts from your topic. What exactly are you interested in? What are your doubts? What is literature saying? What is your confidence? Your confidence is that as far as this study is concerned, I'm on the right path because the available existing studies have shown that this area has not been adequately addressed or there are limited studies conducted so far. And you must also be very careful when making some of those blanket statements. You have to make sure that you've covered all your flanks appropriately. So look at the 5 questions dilemma. Why is the study important? Your research proposal will answer 2 fundamental questions. Why and how? Why is the study so important? What is so unique about the study? Well, in knowing why the study is so important, you want to find out the current state of things in that research area. Why are you interested in finding out the current state of things? Because you want to know the gaps. You want to give justification. If I ask you, why do you prefer to reside in Cape Town compared to Johannesburg or Limpopo? Your justification could be that, look, Cape Town has beaches, it's a coastal city, it is cosmopolitan, and all the rest of them. So your justification must be such that with the other cities or the other options you have, they do not have those characteristics. Again, why is the study so important? Because it will contribute to knowledge. Why did you choose the topic? And let me tell you something about your research topic again. The moment you have finalized, you have decided on your research topic, the next thing that comes to your mind is, where will I collect my data from? What will be my data source? How can I collect the data? What are the tools I will need to analyze the data? These are your dilemmas. These are the things that will keep rumbling in your head, that will keep troubling your academic mind. Because you are not just going to choose a topic for the beauty of it. You are choosing a topic bearing in mind that you have carefully thought and identified the data source. You have also taken time to understand how the data will be collected. You have a good understanding of how the data collected will be analyzed. So these are the questions, these 5 questions will keep troubling your academic mind every now and again. And that's why your research proposal must come up watertight. It must show that you have carefully, thoroughly thought through everything. Okay, so let's move on. What are the attributes of a research proposal? The attribute of a research proposal is such that, number one, all the stages and processes will be properly outlined. There's nothing to hide. You are not going to give any room for assumption. Everything you want to do, you carefully, logically outline them, all of them. Your research proposal must be able to convince the reader. It must be able to show that there is a value in your study, not just about contributing to knowledge, but in terms of practical application of it. Because you are solving a problem. The problem you are solving must be relevant. It must be useful. By the time you come up with your solution, the problem must have been addressed. Again, the attribute of a research proposal is that you have an opportunity to demonstrate expertise and competence. Expertise and competence, where, for instance, in your research methodology, you're not going to pick a research methodology just because it's popular or it has been widely used. No, you demonstrate expertise and competence by making sure that you understand what the research methodology you are choosing will give you. The attribute of a research proposal is that it serves as a contract. In other words, it indicates what each person will do. For instance, in collecting your data, you are clearly showing this is what I will do, this is what the participants will do, or the respondents will do. In terms of resources, okay, this is what I will do. I will need help with editing, I will need help with a proofreader, I will need help with a research assistant in collecting my data. I will need an interpreter or a transcriber. I will need a data analyst. You clearly show it. Let's move on. Okay, so what are the two distinct stages of a research proposal? Pre-empirical stage. Okay, pre-empirical stage where you are conceptualizing your topic, you're looking at the various issues that exist around the topic, And then you are saying, okay, now I have a good idea of what this whole issue is all about. So, what data do I need for my hypothesis to test my hypothesis? Then, the empirical stage, you're thinking about your research design. Under your research design, you're thinking about all of the other components, the issue, the data collection, the data analysis, how to test your hypothesis. Those are the two distinct stages in your research proposal: the pre-empirical stage and the empirical stage. You are more or less saying, as far as this study is concerned, this is how I'm going to go about it. All right, so let's move on. I just want to encourage you that everything you're going to be doing, you are going to make mistakes. I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. This is an opportunity to learn. As you're reading, as you're writing, sometimes the reading will not make sense. Sometimes the writing will not make sense. Sometimes you will struggle. Sometimes you just feel like, you know what, let me take a break. It is what it is. The most important thing here is that you don't run away from this responsibility. Another of your expectation is that whether you like it or not, you are now in a space where reading and writing is a continuous, if it's safe for me to say, daily exercise. Because as far as this research area of yours is concerned, there is so much more for you to know. You don't want to fire blank. You don't want to present a narrative that clearly shows that you are not in charge of the story. Another of your expectation or reality is that with respect to literature, for instance, you will focus on what matters most. For the articles you have downloaded, for the books you are reading, the ultimate question every now and again will be, what is the contribution of this information to my research topic? How does it give strength? How does it add value to my research topic? What are the benefits of it? Very important. Oh, one of my favorite points here is academic humility. Whether you like it or not, people who are younger than you will teach you something you don't know. This is a time where you will swallow your academic pride. There is so much for you to learn. There is so much for you to know. Even if you don't like the person, leave personal issues aside. If the person has got the skill that you need, let the person teach you. After that, you can go back to your default to say, I don't like him, and you go your separate ways. You need people to help you get to where you want to get to. There are instances where you feel disorganized and possibly, you know, depressed or anxious. One of the things I will warn you against is that please and please, your well-being matters and it is very important. And one of the things you will guide against every now and again is that you don't wait until the deadline is closed before you start to press the panic button. No. Remember point number two, daily reading and writing will save you a lot of headache. Let's move on to some of the real business of the day. So the research proposal contains the introduction section. And remember what we said about the introduction section. The introduction section. So let me go back. Okay, let me go back to this slide here so that I show you. So when you look at the introduction section, for instance, it has the background information section. It has the problem statement. It has the hypothesis, research question, research objective, and significance of study. Now, think of your topic this way. Now you have decided on your topic. The question now is, what do you want to tell us about this topic? You want to start to set the record straight from the beginning. And that is what your background information section does. Your background information section sets the tone from the beginning. It provides a context to what you are interested in. The background information can come in the form of a global context to your research topic. It can come in form followed by the regional context, followed by the national or local context. You give us a background. It is more like asking you, if I still remember her name very well. I think her name is Noresa. So if I say, Noresa, who are you? That question is an opportunity for you to pick any direction with which you want to tell us who you are. You can decide to take and say, okay, because the person asking me is an academic, let me go the route of what? Of my educational pursuit. And in going through the route of your educational pursuit, and this is where I want you to listen carefully. Remember, in this case now, the topic is, who are you? The respondent now, because of the person asking the question, decided to go the educational route to say, I want to tell you about my educational pursuit as a function of who I am. Look at the global context. She will give us her primary education, her preparatory school. Look at the regional context. She will give us her high school education pursuit. Look at the local context, or let's say national context. Noresa will give us a context, a background about her master's education pursuit. Then the local will be her PhD education pursuit. In other words, she has taken us through a journey because there is a specific point she wants to take us to. And the way you start the context will determine whether you'll be able to finally land in the specific context, which is your topic that you are interested in. So imagine if Noresa decides to tell us about her family background. There's no way, unless her writing skill is top notch, for her to now infuse it and completely change the trajectory at a point that she's going to finally land on what? On her PhD pursuit. So context matters. Context matters. And the background information section is an opportunity for you to set the tone right, for you to set the context straight. That's what I want you to always remember. That in writing your research proposal, the background information will set the tone of what we should expect in the whole document. Talking about context, you can dedicate a paragraph or two. Again, let me issue a disclaimer here. You can liaise with your department to find out what is, the template of a research proposal in this department. But I can assure you, every research proposal will always have this, whether in different arrangements or not. So let's move on. Let's talk about the problem statement. I hope you have understood the background information section and how it plays out. It is an opportunity for you to contextualize the narrative. You have paragraphs dedicated to each context. A paragraph or two maybe to global context, another paragraph or two to regional context, another paragraph or two to national context, another paragraph or two to local context. The background information gives you an opportunity to set the context. So I want you to start to think around, how am I going to start this story such that it will land me exactly where I want it to be, which is with respect to my research topic. Because everything you will be doing must align with your research topic. There is no way you are going to write anything outside of alignment with your research topic. That is a red flag. It's a no-no. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on quickly. Now, I want to tell you something very interesting here. Remember, I told you that your research topic is a problem. And out of that, you can carefully carve out the questions you want to answer in your study. And that is your research question. Now, let me come here quickly and just explain some things to you with respect to your research question. There we go. And I'll go back up again. Now, the interesting thing about research question is that your research question must have its roots in the topic, the background or evidence from what? From empirical studies. In other words, you are not going to be asking a question that has already been answered by someone else. How? I want to tell you that for every scholarly written article you have picked or you have read so far, there's a section there that tells you about the objective of that article. If you flip the objective the other way around, it becomes your research question. So it gives you a good understanding of the question that is being answered in that article. Take that home. How are you going to answer the question to advance the understanding of an issue? You want to make sure that your research questions are appropriate and they meet the research requirement. Let me tell you one more thing, that your research questions, they must be answered in your study. So you are not going to ask a question that at the end of the study you will not have answers for. You cannot, because that's the purpose of research. You have come up with an idea. There is something you want to know about that idea or topic. The question is, what is it that you want to know? You must ask the right question for you to be able to know the specific things that you want to know as far as that topic is concerned. And that's what research question is. Your research question, of course, will determine the research methodology you are going to choose. It will determine the research methodology you're going to choose. If you are asking the question of what are the contributions of agriculture to Western Cape, you cannot go and be choosing data from Polokwane or Durban or Johannesburg. No, you will go for the population that clearly aligns to your research question. So your research question will determine the research methodology. Okay? Okay. So let's go back. Let's go back so that I explain some of these things, to you in a way that it becomes easily understandable. So, having explained the research question, I want to inform you that your research question is the opposite of your research objectives. And what is your research objectives? They are the things you want to achieve as far as the study is concerned. Now, let me explain it this way. If your objective is to travel to Johannesburg, and the specific of your objective is to arrive at Johannesburg 7:30 a.m. in the morning. And further to that specific objective is that you want to make the trip in less than 3 hours. Can you see how the objective is clearly defined? That's what you want to achieve. You don't care about whatsoever. The question now is, you will need to understand the mode of transportation between Cape Town and Johannesburg. Number one, can you go by sea from Cape Town to Johannesburg? It's not something you will decide just by the fact that you reside in Cape Town. No, you decide that from literature to see, is there a travel by sea from Cape Town to Johannesburg? What is literature saying? The answer is no. That cancels it out. What is the next option in terms of my method of transportation? Because I want to make the trip in 3 hours. Okay, I can travel by road. Oh, really? Yes, I can travel by road. But the road will take me at least 10 hours. How did I know? From literature. That renders that method what? Invalid. Because of what I want to achieve. What I want to achieve will dictate the method that I'm going to use. Then I say, okay, what other option do I have? Oh, I still have two more options. I can walk from Cape Town to Johannesburg. Hello, how many hours will it take me? Well, the last person that did it, spends 2 weeks. That makes that method what? Invalid because of what I want to achieve. But I can fly from Cape Town to Johannesburg. Interesting. How many hours will it take me? Oh, it will take me less than 2 hours, maximum 2 hours. Fantastic. So I can go with the option of flying. But wait, because I have clearly defined my objective to say I want to get to Cape Town, I want to get to Johannesburg 7:30 a.m. Now I have to again know that in as much as I have chosen the method of flying from Cape Town to Johannesburg, my next option is what are the available flight time for me to fly? Why? Because there's something I want to achieve. I want to get to Johannesburg 7:30 a.m. in the morning. Friends, I am breaking this down for you so that you know what it means for you to choose a method, for you to settle for a specific research methodology. It starts, number one, from your topic, and you are able to clearly identify or understand it much more better from your objectives and your research questions. Why? Because you are not going to choose anything blindly. No, a research proposal is not a gambling document. It is a document of facts. Facts that have been supported with what? With previous studies in form of references. Every step is being guided by literature. So what question are you asking? Again, let me explain to you this way. Okay, where's this slide now? Let me look for it. There we go. Okay. Ah, what question are you asking? Are your questions ethical? Are they feasible? The same with your objective. Are your objective things that you can accomplish within the specified time frame of your study? Are they interesting? And when I say interesting, it's not because oh I like this. No, interesting within the scope, within the context of contributing to knowledge. Is it novel? Is it something new? Hey, I didn't tell you. That is your number one, your default word as a PhD student. Whatever you are doing must be novel. Novelty is the word. When I started my PhD in 2011, completed in 2014, what my supervisor, my Russian supervisor, keeps telling me, Olu, there must be novelty. I say, yes, I got that. And the novelty, like I said in the beginning, you are not solving the world's problem. No, you are biting what you can chew. Biting what you can chew can still be novel. if you have spent time looking carefully at literature and seeing the research gaps. Your research questions, are they harmful? Are they ethical? Do they breach confidentiality in any way? Are they relevant? Relevance to say, okay, you are asking this question, of what benefit is it? Of what good is it? What is it going to do? Let us know. And may I also tell you that for every research question is a corresponding research objective. They go together. They are identical twins. The only thing that separates them is that one came before the other, but they are identical twins. They go together. And that's why if you understand your research questions properly and you flip it the other way around, it automatically becomes your research objectives. Okay? All right. So let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. So I've explained the composition of your introduction section in form of your background information or general introduction, how you have to contextualize the narrative. You have to capture the attention of the reader to make sure that whatever information you are giving, they have a form of connectivity with your research topic or your research area of interest. And you don't leave room for ambiguity. Okay? All right. So let's look at problem statement. And I will just discuss this, then I will explain how you develop your problem statement. But before I discuss what is on this slide, let me tell you that your problem statement has three key components, three fundamental components. Number one, your problem statement has a component of the ideal situation. And I will explain that to you. Your problem statement has a component of the real situation. Again, I will explain to you. And your problem statement has a component of the consequences of your study, moving from the real situation to the ideal situation. An adequate problem statement is one of the most important part of research. Why? Because it gives us the clearest picture of what the research is all about. And it gives you an opportunity to purely pursue just one depth. In formulating your problem statement, it allows you to make clear information or narrative both to yourself and to the reader. The purpose of the research, subsequent elaboration of the method should be oriented towards providing information to address the problem. The problem statement, therefore, is a very important device for keeping you on track with your research. It also means that by which your research will be evaluated, does the research address the problem as stated? So let me explain it within those three components that I've mentioned earlier. Number one, the ideal situation. So South African National Development Plan says the doors of learning, or let me not even say South African National Development Plan. UWC says the door of learning shall be open to all. Well, it's a quote from Tata Mandela, of blessed memory. That is the ideal situation. The United Nations says education is a fundamental human right, and as such, every living human being on planet Earth must have access to quality education, quality basic education. That is the ideal situation. In a normal functional society, that's what should happen. But what is the real situation? The real situation is that education is not for all. That yes, it is a fundamental human right, In other words, everyone must have access to basic education. But the reality is that that is not the case. Why? Because of several factors. So you are telling us the real situation to say, well, in as much as the United Nations Charter says that education is a fundamental human right, however, in sub-Saharan Africa, access to quality basic education has been a challenge because of some inherent factors such as socioeconomic, political, and institutional. Then you want to explain quickly what you mean by the socio-economy, what you meant by the institutional, what you meant by the political. What does that mean? It simply means that as far as research is concerned, you are giving us a clear idea of what is happening out there. So now you've given us an idea of what the ideal situation should be. So say all things being equal, this is what should happen. Now you are giving us an idea what the real situation should be, or what the real situation is to say, look, in Southern Africa, only 33% of children have access to basic education. Why? Because of the socio-economic disparity in form of, lack of employment, poverty, political instability, or institutional framework. You are giving us the real situation. Then you go to the consequences to say, okay, as far as consequences is concerned, this is what my study is going to do. Because of what my study will focus on, my study will address, even though you have listed poverty, you have listed unemployment, you have listed other socio-economic factors, you have listed institutional framework, you have listed political instability. Well, this study will look at, developing an integrated curriculum that irrespective or developing a model that irrespective of your background, you can still have access to what? To education. So what your study will essentially be giving us is that how to move from the real situation to the ideal situation, because the real situation is always not good. And that is how you write your problem statement. And what I have just explained to you between you and I should not be more than a paragraph. Remember, you are developing a research proposal. It is a concise document. You don't have the luxury of space. So you must always hit the points from the start and learn to consolidate information. Right. So let me pause here. I just want to give an opportunity for question before I move on. Any questions so far? Who wants to donate his or her topic quickly so that we use some of these things that I'm explaining, to practically apply in the person's topic. Who
Good
wants to
morning,
donate his
sir.
or her topic? Who is speaking?
William.
Hi, William. Okay, Catholic BSc. Okay, William,
Yeah.
how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. So, do you want to donate your topic?
Yes, I want to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
My question has to do with the research question or the hypothesis.
Okay.
I want to find out, is there a situation you use the two or you are expected to use one, either research questions or hypothesis?
Is there a situation where you use the two or you use one? Yes. There are instances where you can use both, and there are also instances where you use one. Now, what plays out here is the prerogative of your supervisor. Okay, that's one. Also, what plays out here is the templates or the format that your department uses as far as developing a research proposal is concerned. Okay, so because of the beauty of the question you have asked, let me explain the research hypothesis. And I'm not going to go into, so much detail around it. It is simply an intelligent guess to say, if I drive from Cape Town to Johannesburg, will I be tired? If I drive from Cape Town to Johannesburg, will I be tired? And of course, you know the different type of hypotheses you have. Now, the beauty of it is that in as much as there's a kind of, a form of thin line between your hypothesis and your research question, it still boils down to what you want to accomplish. Your research question will inform your choice of research method. And it is safe to say that your hypothesis will inform your choice of your data analysis tools. Why? Because you want to test something. You want to confirm if what you have guessed is what is correct or not. So, Williams, it is a function of your department and more importantly, the decision of your supervisor. But when you look at both, okay, one more or less largely helps you to decide on the entirety, the whole of your research methodology, from your research design to your research paradigm, to your data collection, to your data analysis, to your data source, while the other is more or less targeted towards your data analysis tools.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other question before we move ahead?
Please, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to find out about the literature review aspect.
Yes.
I don't know whether in developing the proposal, the literature review aspect, does it talk about the framework or actually what the plan that you have for the literature review? For example, let's say I will do a systematic review or document review. Do I actually need to go through it or just the outline?
Okay, so there are three other things that I need to explain as far as research proposal is concerned. And the reason why I'm explaining one of them is because I see from the composition of those that are attending now, some of you are in CHS, some of you are in arts, okay, even though this was specifically meant for natural sciences. But don't worry, I think I got you guys covered. So the three things that I've not explained as far as research proposal is concerned, which are already in the slide, is your literature review section of your research proposal, your theoretical or your conceptual framework section of your research proposal, and your research methodology section of your research proposal. Now, Messi, do you have a question before I move on? Messi, we can't hear you.
My apologies, it's an accidental thing.
Oh, okay, not a problem. All right, so let's start from the one that I consider the easiest and the simplest of them all, literature review. So the literature review section of your research proposal is an opportunity for you to present some previous studies that relates to your research topic or your research area of interest. The literature review section of your research proposal is not for you to go on a barrage, if I may put it that way. It's not an opportunity for you to go on and on and on non-stop. No. Again, the emphasis here is that you have limited space. You want to maximize the space. So what do? In the literature review section of your research proposal, you carefully outline some of the things you will like to talk about under the literature review section of your research proposal. And this must be in alignment with previous studies that have been conducted, agreeing or disagreeing with your research topic. So for instance, if your study is investigating the use of biosensors in the detection of organic contaminants in wastewater, you have a literature review section now in your research proposal. For example, one of the things you want to write about under your literature review section will be, okay, wastewater treatment methods, wastewater detection methods, access to water. You can decide to pick those three, for example. I have just come up with this arbitrarily, but this comes with what? Critical thinking. Your ability to engage with scholarly written articles and identify potential headings and subheadings is something you will have to develop yourself in. If, for instance, your topic is about, say, maybe you're looking at nursing in South Africa, or psychiatric nursing, psychiatric nurses and burnouts in South Africa, a case study of Tigerberg Hospital, and you get to your literature review chapter or section, you want to look at, okay, you want to look at something like burnout among healthcare workers as one of the things you want to quickly do a review on. You want to look at, okay, burnout among nurses in public hospitals or burnout among nurses in private hospitals. You can come up with, such quick headings or subheadings, and you want to do a brief literature review on those things. If you listen carefully to these two examples that I've given, you will notice that I have managed to look carefully at the central issue around my topic and do what? And do a review around it. And that's how it works. You must be able to understand the central issue around your topic, because that is where you'll be able to conduct a good literature review. Around your topic, you must be able to generate the appropriate keywords, because that will give you an insight on how to do a proper literature review. For me, literature review is the simplest, because you are simply reporting what somebody else has done. The key thing here is that whatever you are reporting must be what? Must be relevant and related to what? To your research topic. It must be able to contribute to your research topic. So you're not going to write everything and anything that you've seen. No, it doesn't work that way. So for every information you are seeing from those previous studies, the question you keep asking yourself is this relevant? Is this related? Is this relevant? Is this related to my study of interest or my research area of interest? And that's why you see all the points that are listed here. The literature, are they identical? Are there similarities? Are there differences? What are the different schools of thought? Who is saying yes and who is saying no? And why? Again, because you are writing your research proposal, you're looking at maybe maximum 2 pages. Again, depending on the template or the format of your department. But you don't necessarily have the luxury of space. So that's that about literature review. There's so much more to talk about literature review. But within the context of a research proposal, you're simply trying to go straight to the point, to pick out points that you can write on, points in form of your headings and subheadings that you can write on. Now let's move to theoretical framework. For those of you that are in CH and other departments, let me see. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Please, as many of you that have just joined, I just want you to please remember to put in your name and your email address. Okay. I need that to make sure that I collate the details of as many of you that attended this workshop. Your name and your email address, please. They are very important. Okay. All right. So let's quickly talk about theoretical framework. Conceptual framework. So this is what happens here. For every study, especially those of you that are in, community health sciences, art, and all the rest of them, the central issue around your topic, there are theories that relate to that central issue. You want to find out about those theories. And what do you want to know about the theories? You want to know the principle of the theory. You want to know the strength of the theory. You want to know the weaknesses of the theory. You want to know how the theory has been applied in other studies. Why? Because you want to make an informed decision to say, is this the right theory for my study? Nobody is expecting you to come up with a new theory. No. There are existing theories out there. But for you to know those theories, you must go back to your topic to say, what is the central issue around my topic? What are the theories that have dealt with this central issue? Now I have seen them. But first and foremost, let me go find out, what does this theory stand for? What does it represent? How has it been applied? Then you come up with a framework around the theory. To say, as far as this theory is concerned, this is the theory that goes with my study. Again, while looking at the strengths and the weaknesses of the theory, it will help you to make a decision to say, this theory will not cover everything that I'm interested in. Are there other theories that I can bring in to consolidate as additive to this theory? So in some instances, you might have more than a theory that constitute part of your theoretical framework. In the case of conceptual framework, this is the entirety of your research from beginning to the end. You are coming up with a construct. You are coming up with a comprehensive plan of the entirety of the project. And that simply tells you that your theoretical framework is located within your conceptual framework. Okay, I think thank you so much for as many of you that have put in your name and your student number for me to be able to capture. Okay, so having explained the theoretical and conceptual framework, let me quickly explain the research methodology. Whether you like it or not, this is where your head can easily be on the chopping block. Because if you say you want to achieve A by coming up with objective A, the question is, there are certain kind of data you will have to collect for you to be able to achieve that objective. There are certain kind of analysis you must do for you to be able to achieve that objective. So your research methodology, whether you like it or not, is where you will have to display that indeed you know what you are doing or what you want to do. Your research methodology must be such that it gives us detail of the process or the procedure that you want to follow, not just for the sake of following, to follow in achieving the objective and answering the research question. So for your research objective, for each objective, there's a kind of data you have to collect. For each objective, there's a kind of analysis you have to do. For each objective, there's a kind of data interpretation that you have to do and how you have to discuss your data. For you to do what? To achieve the objectives and answer the research questions. So when you look at the various components of the research methodology, you're looking at your data source. Where are you getting the data from? You cannot afford to tell us that you want to interview Cyril Ramaphosa. How on earth will that be possible? Access to data, availability of data will determine whether your data source is making academic sense or not. How easily accessible is it? How easily available is the data? Can you approach the people? Because sometimes, with respect to your data source, if you have to go to a place, you need to do your background check. What is their culture like? How receptive are they to strangers? These are things you need to put into context. You need to put into consideration. So under your research methodology, you have your research design. Are you qualitative or are you quantitative? If you are qualitative, and then you are talking about your data analysis tool, you are talking about SPSS, it automatically raises a red flag that Olu doesn't know what he's talking about. How are we even sure that everything he has written so far, he knows what he's talking about? So you cannot, for the lack of a better word, you cannot say you're doing qualitative and then the tools you are using, the size of your data is quantitative in nature. No, they must go together. Your research design, the data source, the data collection, the data analysis, they must all align. And not just align with your research design, they must align with respect to your objectives, they must align with respect to your research questions. Again, how do you decide this? From literature. You look at what literature is saying. Okay? You look at what literature is saying and you are taking time to understand, to say, if I collect this kind of data, what is the most appropriate tool for me to use in analyzing this kind of data? Because for every analysis, there is a specific information you want to get out of it. You must know that. You must understand that. So your research methodology is more like the engine room. It's more like the alpha and omega of your research proposal. If you are going to achieve your objectives, your research methodology will determine that. If you are going to answer your research questions, your research methodology will determine that. If your objective is to travel from here to Johannesburg and make the journey in 7 hours, but your car is a 1 liter engine capacity, and you say, no, this is the car that I'm going to use, somebody will look at it and say, do you want to successfully complete this journey or you want your car and yourself to be towed back to where you are coming from? Why? Because your research methodology does not fit or align with the research objective. These are things you must think carefully about. Okay, so I see a question here to say, please, can you go over the meaning of conceptual framework? Okay, now, conceptual framework is the entirety, is the complete action plan of your project, of your study, from beginning to the end. It's an opportunity for you to develop constructs that clearly explain the step-by-step procedure that the project will follow from conception to finalization. That simply means that your conceptual framework has your theoretical framework in it. So you want to think carefully. What construct? How do I want to display this action plan from beginning to the end to show all of my activities? Having explained all of this, let me remind you that you are not expected to do anything, write anything from your head. Everything you are going to write must be informed by your engagement with literature. And what does that mean? References. Your research proposal must have references. Otherwise, the question is going to be, where did you get this information from? How did you come up with this narrative? I'm talking about references. Again, bearing in mind that you might need to consult some old references, but I always tell my opinion is 70-30. 70% relatively new references, so maybe not more than 5 years. 30%, even if it's 100 years old, fine. Because you want to show the transition from old studies to what is happening right now. You don't want to give an impression that that area of research has been inactive. Okay, so that's very important. Now, if you look at this template that I've just shown you, your research proposal must have a timeline. Give us an idea of how you are going to do the study in terms of allocated time. Between January and April, literature review. Between April and May, ethical clearance. From August to November, data collection. From January 2023 to June 2023, chapter 1, 2, and 3 being drafted. From July to December, data analysis and development of chapter 4, 5, and 6. Give us an idea. And this is where your time management skill comes in. You must be able to manage your time. Because it is not just enough for the research proposal to be top notch. We want to see, okay, have you realistically speaking allocated a reasonable time frame to starting and completing this study? Why? Because you cannot give a time frame of 5 years when your PhD is supposed to be completed in 3 years. Yes, life happens, things happen, but give us time frame. And may I warn you, one of the areas that you don't necessarily have control over is your data. And when I say you don't have control, the data will always speak for itself. Whatever you collect is what you're going to analyze, and it's going to speak for itself. And that's why you must think carefully around it. Does your proposal need resources, budget? State it. Let us know the budgetary or financial implication of starting this project and completing it. And talking about references, you must know the reference style that your department prefers. You must know the reference style that your department prefers. What do they prefer as far as their reference style is concerned? Harvard, APA, Vancouver, whatever it is, you must know. It is important for you to know. Okay? Right. So having said that, I just want to assure you, okay, that when it comes to research proposal, um, there will be a lot, a lot, a lot of effort from you. a lot of effort from you. And so this is just one of my final points. You look at what you're doing right now and you ask yourself, what do I need to be able to start and complete this study within the allocated time frame? You also have to be very objective and realistic with yourself that you need to develop some skill sets. You need to develop some abilities. It is important. Okay, it is very, very important. And on that note, I want to wish you the very best. This is my detail. Do you have any question, please? Anybody with any question? Just fire from any angle.
Hi, it's Nerissa here. I
Hi,
just want to
Melissa.
Hi, I just wanted to thank you for this very comprehensive, very informative, presentation. It's really sort of helped me a lot. I've been making quite a few notes, and I do feel I've got more direction now. So thank you so much for that. That was just a comment. Okay, thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you so much for your kind words. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And the purpose of this is just to explain the process to you in the simplest way possible. And explaining the process is just to give you a better understanding of how and what um, you need to do with respect to populating the different sections, okay, in your research proposal. And so knowing what goes in where helps you a lot. It helps you to avoid repetition. It helps you to be straight to the point because your research proposal is essentially an opportunity for you to show that you are in charge of the narrative. Okay, so that's the purpose of this. The purpose is just to make sure that you understand what each of those components of a research proposal entail, why it is important to properly articulate them, and because at the end of the day, you must remember that your targeted audience is the scholarly community, and this community has a benchmark. They don't just, I mean, you can't just do anything the way you like and just feel like, yeah, I've done my part. This is all I will do. Yes. So that's the purpose of this. I like to make my class very interactive also. So if for instance, any of you has uh, if you want to donate your topic, maybe you just want us to quickly have a look at it, and just ask some very specific direct question on it. Why not? We can do that in the next. Okay, I see. Oh, okay. So let me put the oh, okay. Let me put up this slide again. So I hope you do remember. So let me just do a quick house check. How many of you have requested for a writing or statistical coach? How many of you? Okay. There's no way. Let me see how. How many of you have requested? Have requested? Do you know you can request for a writing or statistical coach under the Division for Postgraduate Studies? I coordinate that portfolio, so you have my contact. Request. Interestingly, I think. Okay, no, Abraham is not one of the coaches. Yeah, he was one of the.
Yes, I requested a writing coach.
Not a problem.
Sorry, I was typing it. I was actually busy typing it in comments.
Okay, no, not a problem. Yeah, so you can request for a writing or a statistical coach. I think what I need to do quickly, let me just do this. Let me just do this to make your lives a bit easier. I hope you'll be able to get it. Yeah. So, um, so I'm just typing. Okay. So, yes, Hakiran, I've just sent the link. I've just sent the link. So if you click on the link right now, for you to for you to request for a writing or a statistical coach, it will take you to a JOT form. Yes, applicable to all faculties. I have coaches from all faculties. Yeah, now, oh, Messi, now you know. Yes, yeah, now you know. So the coaches they will guide you. Of course, they won't write for you. They are not your supervisor. They won't edit for you, but they will guide you to make sure that your story is coming out right and making academic sense. I, I also take time to, assign some students to myself. Yeah, and two of them has already contacted me, have given um, my suggestions, comments on their thesis. Yes, so if you are lucky, I might decide to just assign you to myself to say, okay, let me work with you. But if not, but I need to keep the coaches busy as well. So yeah, so just on a lighter note, is there any question? Do you have any question that you need clarity on? Um, Anybody? Did I manage to explain it so well that nobody has a question? Oh no. Okay. Okay, so I'm not sure why we had less than 50% of the people that applied for the training. I want to assume maybe load shedding had a part in this. But again, I want to thank all of you for joining. Thank you so very much. I see there's a chat. Okay. Sorry, who is laptop user? Please, did you send in your name and your student number? Please, can you do that? I'm not sure. I don't know, but it's showing me laptop user. Please, for as many of you that didn't send your name and your student number, please do so. Um, all right. So I just hope that with what we have discussed today, you'll be able to come up with a very good research proposal, and you will also be able to do it, as soon as possible. Um, Oh, okay, okay. Oh, thanks to Cecilia. Oh, I didn't know. Okay, it was showing laptop user, so I've gotten your detail. Yes. So, and like I was saying, with this, session, I hope you'll be able to finish your proposal as soon as possible. And move on, especially in collecting your data, in analyzing and doing some other things. But remember that what your proposal contains is your thesis chapter 1 to 3. So start to look at it. At the end of the day, when you finish this proposal, you should be able to have a good understanding of your research knowledge area or your research area of interest. Okay, all right. So let me stop sharing. Is there any question? Any question? Yes, yes, yes. You will get the presentation will be sent to for you to download. Yes, you will get it. All right. Thank you very much. Nawaz, you want to say something?
I was going to ask if the recording will also be shared with us.
Yes, the recordings will also be shared.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's being recorded in the cloud and it will be shared.
Okay.
Yes, how long should an ideal proposal be? Sibindi is asking a very interesting question. How long should an ideal proposal be? I will tell you that it shouldn't be more than so maybe 12 to 15 pages, including your reference page. But again, it varies from one faculty to the other. It varies from one department to the other. But just remember that it's not a voluminous document. It is succinct, it is concise, it's not, it's not huge. So you want to make it as number one, liaise with your department or your faculty to find out what's what the story is. Then from there you'll be able to find out what you're sitting with. Okay, so I will suggest you just liaise with I would suggest you liaise with your faculty or your department to know what the number of pages. But generally speaking, you're looking at between 12 to 15 pages. And imagine 12 to 15 pages containing all of these things that I've just mentioned now. That tells you, everything that needs to be done. Yeah, so thank you, Sibindi, for that question. Thank you. Any other question?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So, for instance, would this layout of proposal only apply for a PhD, or like when there are calls for proposals to submit for projects, say for NRF, would that also fall in line with the contents would be kind of like chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3?
Oh, very, very interesting question. Very, very interesting question. So we say maybe for funding, for funding purposes, it might be slightly different. Okay, but it will contain some very, very important sections. Again, you might just want to check to say maybe for NRF, what is their template. There will always be a template because they don't just want you to come up with your own template, and there are specific things they are interested in, so they will give you the template. Now it's a function of how well you understand what they want you to do. Okay, that will determine if you have populated those sections appropriately or not. Do you understand? So I will always advise, always check out the templates. But even beside that, almost everything we've discussed today will be captured in a funding research proposal. Yes, there will be some slight differences, but almost all of the things we've discussed will be captured in a research proposal. Yes. Any other question? Any other question? Okay. Let me see. Okay. No question. All right. So in the absence of no question, I want to say thank you so very much to every one of you that has joined this workshop. I hope you have managed to learn one or two things, and I wish you the very best in your journey. Again, I will encourage you to apply for a writing or statistical coach to provide some guidance in areas where you will need support. Thank you so very much, everyone, and please enjoy the rest of your day and stay blessed.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.